Well, hi again, everybody, and welcome to Sports Scene on WLCS TV 20, Lorain City Schools Television. Boy, it is great to be back in the studios here at WLCS and once again talking Lorain High sports. And I'm thrilled to have with us as a guest the boys head basketball coach of the Titans from Lorain High School, Matt Kielian. Of course, year one for Matt at the helm, although a longtime assistant to former head coach John Rossitano, so certainly a familiarity with the history and the tradition of boys basketball here in the city of Lorain. But great to be back with you. And Matt, great to have you joining us here at the official Sports Scene table.
Thank you. I feel privileged. I really do.
Is this your first chance to sit at the Sports Scene table?
No, I was able to, I was here before with Coach Roz. And,
Okay.
So I've been here, but I'm still fairly new for me.
Well, relax. We're gonna do just fine, as I'm sure you're gonna do as the boys head basketball coach. And you and I were chatting before we got started here.
Yes.
Year one, they always say the biggest distance on a basketball court is the 6 inches between the assistant coach's chair and the head coach's chair. So
Yes.
How big of an adjustment was that for you, Matt?
Well, Coach Roz gave me a lot of responsibilities, but and he gave me some advice, and throughout the years, but nothing can compare
There you go.
to having to stand up the whole time if you want to. And but you know what, I relish the opportunity. I feel good where we are and what we're doing. And yeah, it's an adjustment. However, we have great kids, great student athletes, and they're making the job enjoyable. They really are. They work hard, they're resilient, and we just keep getting better every day.
Matt, can you recall a point or a moment where you realized, this is my decision. I'm now the head basketball coach. This falls on me. Now, you may ask for advice from other folks, but in the end, it's your decision. Do you recall a moment like that?
Yeah, tryouts. Tryouts, and it's tough because you want to keep every kid that comes through that door and works hard in that gym, but obviously it's impossible. So that was my first realization of I have to make this decision and I have to live with the consequences, because you have our students, you kind of have their lives in your hands, so to speak, and so I don't take that delicately at all. I take it very seriously. So that was, to answer your question, that was the realization right there.
What's been the most enjoyable aspect of being the head coach?
Again, just being that voice, having the attention of everybody in the program,
right.
And knowing that your platform and the messages that you are trying to provide are being internalized by our young men, and it's a great feeling to know that you have an impact on student athletes.
Matt, let's talk about the season. As you said before we started rolling here, it was a young basketball team, or is a young basketball team, kind of finding their way. For those who haven't had a chance to get to the gym or watch a game on TV 20, just kind of walk us through how this year unfolded and the progress that you've seen from where it started back in tryouts, as you talked about, until where we are today.
Right. We just continue to grow. We keep getting better every day, day in and day out. Our kids are resilient, but like I mentioned to you earlier, before we got on, it's a first for everything for us. First for me, first for our players that didn't really get too much varsity experience last year because we had 7 seniors. But we've had close games. We've had to fight from behind. We lost at the buzzer. We won at the buzzer. But the experiences are invaluable, and if I was ever going to have a first group, this is who I would want. This is who I would want, because we're growing together. We're getting better together. I'm learning, they're learning, and the adjustments that we've been making throughout the course of the season, we've seen the benefits of it. So.
Matt, when you have a young basketball team like you have, and they're kind of learning, as you said, as you're learning in the first year as a head coach, What are you looking for developmentally? Is it more the X and O aspect of the game, what they're doing on the floor, or is it more the mental aspect of the game as far as handling pressure situations and handling game situations, situation basketball as they call it? Where are you looking for that development?
Actually, it's all the above. I feel that, being able to be united with the players, having them go through the struggles together off the court as well as on the court, just makes us a stronger family. And I believe the resilience that we've had thus far, we're just grateful to be playing. We're grateful to be playing. We're grateful to have fans. We know that it could be taken away from us at any point in time because we've experienced that.
Right.
So again, the gratitude that we have, and we're just grateful to be around one another, be able to practice, be on the court, be in the gym. Like I said, have fans and play with one another. That's and just growing together. And I guess that's on and off the court. It's synonymous with the success that we have and we expect to have continuously.
So you talk about growing and you talk about development. Where have you seen that? Where has this team made the biggest steps as the season has moved along?
No, again, just experience. So we've been in close games, and we had to fight. We had to fight together. We had to rely on one another. They had to trust me. I had to trust them, and it's just together. We feel that if we continue to battle, continue to have one another's back, we might not win the games, but there's a lesson in our losses, and again, just continuously getting better is what's important at this point in time for us.
How much better are they right now than they were when you started?
A lot better. Believe me, this is our games. We have 14 games, 16 games. We could be 2-14, or we could be 10-6, 12-4. That's how it's gone. But I think we've learned how to fight for one another, with one another, and we're extremely. I'm extremely proud of how much better we've gotten since the beginning of the summer. We've been able to kind of solidify what it is that we want to do, and we've been working at that, and I think, like I said, we're just going to continue to get better as we go.
Matt, as I alluded earlier, there's such a strong tradition of basketball here in the city of Lorain. What Coach Rossitano and you did with the teams that you had, and of course going back to the Mitch Gillum days and way before that, long before you and I came about as far as covering sports here in the city of Lorain. How aware are today's kids of that tradition, the tradition of excellence, and understanding that Lorain basketball, there is a high standard there?
Well, it's tough because they want to pay tribute to the people that have kind of set the way for us to this day, but our players are unaware. They're not too familiar with the athletes of years past. They know we've had success, but in terms of who was a part of that success, they're not. So it's up to me to make sure that I carry those names on, and I make sure that they recognize different names and who's been there and what they've done. But our kids now are so much more focused on the here and now. Some of the kids, they don't know who was an NBA All-Star in 1990. Which sounds kind of crazy to us, but they don't really recognize some of the kids now don't even realize that Michael Jordan was that player,
right?
Because they really didn't see him play. They just see clips of him, and even though he looks good on video, so do a lot of players on video. So and it's not their fault. It's not their fault. It's just, again, they're more focused on the here and now and who they are in the present. So
it's interesting you say that, because a great coach with a great program once told me that he shared with his student athletes and with his players, you're not just playing for your friends and family in the stands, but the eyes of the past are on you to maintain a tradition, to maintain that excellence. And it takes a while for that message to sink in, especially with younger players, I would assume.
Yes, it is. And we're trying to establish our own culture, but also pay tribute to the cultures of the past teams of our city, and trying to integrate both, and making sure that the message is consistent with expectations, high expectations, and doing the right things, and representing the city as a whole, as well as family and themselves the right way.
Absolutely. Well, I certainly want to give you an opportunity to talk about players and young men that are involved in your program, because that's who makes up Lorain Titan basketball. So share with the viewers here some of the names that have stood out for you this year and have made contributions to your basketball program, and as far as their future is concerned. So start where you'd like to.
Well, all of our players are extremely important to what we do, from the person first gets announced, in the starting lineup, to the person that might not play that much. I think, again, we developed a family atmosphere, and we root for each other. But I guess I could start with Jordan Daniels, who is our one of our seniors. He's a very talented player. He's averaging about 14 points a game this year. I talk to the players about rhythm shots, and making sure that we help each other create rhythm shots for one another. He seems to be able to find his own rhythm to his shot. So he's doing a great job. He's vocal. He's there for our younger kids, and we rely on him a lot to get us into what we need to do. We have Jacob Addis, who is another senior that's a football player. He's
a big kid.
he's a big kid, but you know what? He's somebody that you want on your team, and he does a great job. And he doesn't start. He doesn't play as much as we might like for him to. But you know what? He does exactly what we ask for of him. Got Rashad Carter, another senior. A great shooter. He's a really good defender. He's he's somebody that if given the opportunity can do some really, really good things. It's just it's tough with getting everybody the amount of playing time that they want. I mean, we have 8 minutes in a quarter,
yep.
and 32 minutes in a game. So, but he's a really good player. We have DJ Pettis, who's another football player. He's a junior and provides a lot of energy for us. Spark off the bench, or he's starting now. So he's a spark for us, defensive stopper, similar to a Cam Davis at Shane Smith. That's who we rely on. We got Isaiah Kielian, sophomore. Just gym rat, just always in the gym, and
well, that's stunning.
Well, yeah, but he's learning, but he's learning from our seniors, and he's again a lot of firsts for him. But we look for some big things from him, and Christian Ruiz. Christian Ruiz is a junior who always seems to be around the ball. He's a glue type player. He doesn't have great athleticism, but he finds a way. He finds a way, and he's just a tough, hard-nosed kid. Another one of our players, Israel Amerson. Speaking of athleticism, he's one of our best athletes, and he didn't play last year or the year before, but he came out and he's been a really good player for us. Yeah, so
I wanted to ask you about the seniors because you alluded earlier to the fact that this is a young basketball team and you're kind of building with that young core.
Right.
And yet I'm sure the seniors that you mentioned, Matt, play a real big leadership role for you on this team that, hey, we've been here, we know what it takes, and they're trying to pass that along to those younger players that are now coming up through the system.
Well, it's tough. I mean, you say that, but our seniors really haven't been in leadership positions, so to speak, because of last year. And we have another senior, Reggie Wade, who's a great shooter, a really tenacious player, quiet, but tries to lead by example. But teaching these kids leadership skills is one of the things that we've been really trying to focus on, because again, last year they didn't have that opportunity to. So, like we had a lot of leadership last year, with Billings and Seth. And,
right.
We had a really good senior laden team that provided a lot of leadership. But again, a lot of these players weren't able to reap the benefits of those seniors because of the whole situation with COVID.
And that's an interesting aspect of coaching, because I think a lot of viewers or fans would think, well, you just draw the X's and O's, but you're a teacher, and like you said, you've got to teach leadership, and that aspect of the game. That's something that's not an X and O thing. That's a mental aspect of the game.
No, we have to do. There's so much more to it. So much more. I mean, our kids go through so much, and they have to deal with so many different things. So having to help them navigate through, their different issues, whether it be their home lives or, even their academics, trying to help them socially with their peers, helping them deal with different conflicts. It's so much more than basketball. And that's one of the reasons why I do this, though. It's really not about basketball, and it's not about wins and losses for me. I mean, obviously we want to win, we want to be successful, but them being successful off the court and creating great memories and being responsible young men, that's more valuable than all of this.
It's interesting when Coach Roz, as you call him, when John used to sit in that chair, as much as he was proud of the fact of wins and district championships and a Final Four appearance, he would always circle back to the fact that these are good kids, they're good student athletes, they're going on to college. And I would imagine that's certainly one aspect of the program that you just want to continue, because I know you were heavily involved with that with Coach Rossitano.
Right. We have 6 students that are in our early college program. We're on track to get their associate's degree when they graduate high school. We have 6 kids on the 4 kids on the honor roll. We have 7 kids on the merit roll. We obviously we're very big on education.
Academics.
Not just just academics, but education, but being respectful students too, making sure that we use our manners and we provide service throughout the course of the day to whomever needs it or whatever is needed. I think it's important as a program. From all of our coaches, we stand by that, and we just want to make sure that our kids, our students, our young males are doing the right things, and because we want to give them opportunities, and we feel the best way to give them opportunities is if they can use those soft skills and they can do the things that they need to do off the court, because it goes a long way.
Wow, hats off to you. That's to be applauded. I'm sure there's viewers, and I'm sure there's Titan fans that are going, yeah, Matt Kielian's now the head coach. Where'd this guy come from? If you haven't done before, share your story, share your background, and how you ended up being the head basketball coach at Lorain High.
Oh, wow. Well, I started coaching basketball on the AAU circuit, and I coached boys and girls. I had one of my first two players were Jerry L. Nixon and Dan Bieber. I had them as ninth graders. You know, I was doing that for a few years, and then I was at Oakwood Park, and Brian Corey, coach, well, I think he was the athletic director at the time. Yeah, he was the athletic director. He came up to me and asked if would I want to coach freshmen at Southview. And I was like, I don't know. I can get back with you and I'll tell you. But so that's kind of where it all started. Oakwood Park. Brian Corey asked me if I wanted to coach freshmen at Southview, and at the time, Andy Bastock had just gotten the job, and I met with Andy, and you know, got hired there, and then moved up to JV for a few years, and that's kind of where it started. You know, had a lot of fun, learned a lot from Andy Bastock, and then you know, when Coach Roz ended up getting the job, I started out as his assistant along with Mitch Gillum, and then I ended up, some things happened, and I needed to help out and coach the JV team, and yeah, it was just, man, everybody that I've been able to coach with, I've learned something from, and you know, I was coaching football there for a while, and still help out a little bit, and but yeah, between you know, Coach Gillum and Coach Roz and Coach McFarland, Andy Bastock, like I've learned a lot, and I've kind of made it my own, and you know, here I am.
There you go. So it isn't something that you go back to your childhood or something and go, man, I wanted to be a boys' head basketball coach. This was more of an evolution for you.
Well, I remember, because I grew up in Kentucky, and I remember my sophomore year in high school, my head coach asked me what my plans were when I was all done with basketball. And of course, I didn't know at the time. And he said, "Why don't you think about maybe coming back and being a coach with me?" And at that point in time, it was the furthest thing from my mind. A sophomore in high school, and it's Coach Wright. And never did I think that was going to be something that I would want to do. But you know, it's a crazy path.
Isn't it amazing though, Matt? It comes full circle, because he saw something in you. Coach Wright recognized something in you, and I'm sure now you're working with young men at that freshman, sophomore level. You see something in them that they don't see yet.
Yes.
It's something.
It is kind of amazing how things work themselves out. You know, just being able, I never thought that I would work with kids. I never thought I'd be in the school system. Never thought that I would be coaching, honestly. Just wasn't something that I thought about. But I wouldn't trade this for anything. I feel like the impact that I'm able to have on the lives of our student athletes and our students in general is important. And I cherish that and I value it. And hopefully they give me, or I give them what, you know, a little bit of what they give me. So, and that's a lot.
So before we wrap up, the first year of anything is always a special year. You always remember your first year. I remember my first year of doing high school sports here in Lorain County. Of course, my first year with the Cavs, I'll never forget it. COVID had something to do with that. But so for your first year, is there a moment, is there something that just capped it off or brought you the greatest joy in your first year as a head coach?
Yeah, I mean, I can look at a couple things. You know, coaching my son, and my sons is an amazing feeling. It's a huge responsibility, but something that not everybody gets, and you know, I value that. That's, you know, when he walked out on that court the first game against Bedford, you know, there's some emotion.
Special.
It's special. And then, that first game being the type of game that it was against, we've had history against Bedford. It's some great games, coming from behind, things that we talk about in terms of being resilient and fighting and coming together, uplifting one another. Everything that we've been teaching as a culture kind of came to fruition that first game. And so we were able to build on it. But that first game, being able to get that first win, again, was an amazing feeling. And to share it with my son,
That's great.
Just made it all that more memorable.
That's cool. Final question, tournament time right around the corner. Obviously, as you and I sit here and chat, the seedings were just held.
Yes.
Are you playing your best basketball with tournament time now within sight?
Yes, I think we are. We're getting to a point where we're starting to get comfortable with the defense, the offense, with each other. I'm excited. We have. We're getting better, and we face a tough Copley team over there at their place, and we're excited about it. We're excited. We'll see what happens. We're gonna give them our best effort. We're gonna fight, and like I said, we're far exceeding my expectations in terms of our chemistry and where we are right now. So
you talk about a great experience and a great learning process for a young team. There's nothing like tournament basketball.
Yeah,
They'll learn from that.
Yeah, we're excited.
Well, Matt, again, we really appreciate you stopping by. Congratulations on being named the head coach at Lorain High. I think Titans basketball is in great hands for a long time, and certainly to you and your program, the very best of luck.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Matt Kielian, our guest on Sports Scene here on WLCS TV 20, Lorain City Schools Television. Of course, Matt, it isn't possible without Joe Bock, B-O-C-K, for those of you that need to know. Hey, it was great to be back here. Love talking Lorain sports, so let's do it again. And until we meet again next time, so long, everybody.